What sewing notions do you really need when you want to start sewing? Believe me, not as many as the industry might want to sell you. So, first thing I would recommend is some tailor's chalk. But if you don't want to buy tailor's chalk and you have a bar of soap at home, you can cut a tiny piece of the bar and mark with soap. I would recommend, if you are working with silk or very fine fabrics, to always use soap, because it will wash out and you'll be sure that it washes out. Except if you may be working with white fabric, then you might need to buy some colored tailor's chalk. Then thread scissors, but you can also take your household scissors. Then I recommend a small little ruler to mark basically your seam allowance. And another thing you can use instead of pattern paper is basically packing paper, or paper that was in your Amazon orders, or simply newspaper paper if you're not working with fine fabrics that accidentally could take on the color and it wouldn't wash out. Another important thing that is the biggest investment, but I would recommend good quality fabric scissors. Never cut paper with your fabric scissors, otherwise you will destroy them. I'm not joking. If your fabric scissors get blunt and you cannot afford to sharpen them, simply use some tin foil, fold it in three, and then cut with your fabric scissors into the tin foil. It can sharpen them again and you can use them for a while longer. Especially if you bought your fabric scissors secondhand, which is something I also can recommend. You don't need to buy your sewing notions new. You can order them from eBay or Craigslist or secondhand shops, so that you don't need to buy them new. Then you always will need pins. Pins is something that you constantly need, and they tend to get lost everywhere in the flat. So yeah, over time your pin amount will get lost and you need to buy a new box. Except if you're really cautious, but yeah. Another thing is a seam ripper, something you will always need, and it is a good investment. This one is from Prem. It's the ergonomic series. It is really nice because if you need to open up a lot of seams, it feels nice and your hand doesn't cramp so quickly. Another thing where I also wrote a blog article about is basically sewing machine needles. You need to buy them based on the fabric you want to sew. These are Microtex needles. It's for more silky fabrics. They're a bit sharper. And they don't leave any marks in the fabric behind. If you want to sew elastic or jersey fabric, you definitely also need a special type of needle. Otherwise you will leave holes in the fabric, and that can be really frustrating. Then threads. Threads is something you never should save money on, because if you go for cheaper alternatives, most of the time they tend to snap. And then you get super frustrated as a beginner because your thread keeps snapping. Believe me, I made the experience 20 years ago when I started sewing as a teenager. My thread kept snapping and I didn't know why. Yeah, later on I learned, buy good quality thread and you won't be bothered. Then the measuring tape is also something you should get in order to find the right pattern for you. Let me know if you have some sewing notions that you would recommend to beginners. I will add some content onto my website article about how to start sewing as a beginner this week. And I see you in my next video. Bye bye.